Welcome, everyone, to Influential Leadership Tips. I'm John Hadley.
And I'm Dave Miller. John, today I want to talk to you and those out there about a question. How easy are you to work with? And this came up for me with a situation that my wife and I were in terms of searching for a car. And we dealt with one dealership, and the woman we were dealing with was new to the job, so I'll cut her some slack there. But she made it very hard to work with her.
Mm-hmm.
First, she wasn't paying attention to where our attention was in terms of what we were looking for. I mean, she kind of tried initially, but my wife made it very clear, and this is more her driving the process because this is her car that we were shopping for, that price was really important to her. And this woman kept saying, well, let's find the perfect car for you first, and then we'll talk numbers. And my wife would say, well, you don't understand. Until I see the number, I don't know if it's the perfect car. So she wasn't really listening. I think that was one thing. She wasn't really prepared. Like when we got further into the deal and we were almost settling in on a car we were going to buy, she said, okay, well, we had a trade and everything. We'll work on that. And my wife says, good, can you call me with the number? So she called my wife, and she didn't have the stuff in front of her that she needed. She said, well, what car are we talking about again? Didn't have the trade-in value, so she just wasn't prepared. And she made us do a lot of work. My wife felt like she had to study so much. She actually knew the model numbers and the option numbers better than the salesperson did.
Mm-hmm.
So meanwhile, we stopped at another dealership, had a totally different experience. We had a guy that worked with us that really listened to what we were looking for, what we wanted, showed us some cars, kept asking questions to really find out what we want. We wanted to look at used cars. We found this. Said, I got something for you. Showed us this really nice used car. We still looked at a couple other options because he said, well, let's make sure this one isn't what you want instead, but it wasn't pushy at all. So he was low pressure. He was very helpful. He knew his stuff, so he was prepared. He was really low pressure because when we came back, because the first time we saw it was late at night. We didn't have time to take it out. So we came back to test drive it, and I said, well, aren't you getting in the car with us? He goes, no, you don't need any high-pressured salesman in the back seat. Go take it and have fun, So we took it out and, drove it around, and, she wanted to check out parking sensors because that was important to her, so we checked those out. Came back, and long story short, we ended up buying the car. And I told him, I said, you were a really pleasure to work with. You're really easy to work with, and you know what he said to me? He said, well, before I did this, I was a bartender, and I was just about people having fun, which I thought was a pretty good philosophy. It was working well for him.
Yeah.
He just saw when people have fun experience when they come in here, And
Mm-hmm.
So it got me thinking about this video and saying, okay, as a leader or just an influencer in your organization, how hard do you make it for someone to work with you, or how easy are you to work with?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these things translate. How well do you listen to people? How much do they have to work versus how much you do the work? Is your demeanor pleasant for them to work with? Can you have fun? I mean, things like that, I think, can make a real difference on the level of influence you have with others.
Oh, yeah. I can remember bosses who they were like cold fishes, and you felt like everything you were doing with them, it's like you were pulling teeth. And so I wouldn't even want to go and talk to them unless I had something really concrete that I had all the answer, because I just didn't even want to have the conversation.
Yeah, and look, some people may look at this video and say, well, Dave, you're talking about dealing with customers, and of course we understand that. But as a leader or an influencer, you got to look at everyone around you as a customer, whether it's your boss, senior management, your peers, or direct reports. In a sense, they're all clients of some nature or another to you. And you want to look at it that way. Maybe some of the examples change a little bit, but in essence, the story is still the same, I would argue. So that is my tip, is for you to take inventory on that and take an honest look. And maybe you want to talk to some people around you that you trust that will give you honest feedback. How hard am I on a scale of 1 to 10 to work with?
It might be good to, have asked some probing questions around, am I accessible? How accessible am I? Do I ask good questions? Do I ask questions that feel relevant, that help you think better? Yeah, you could, there's a lot you could get at,
Yeah,
as long as you're not defensive about it.
absolutely. And not only am I accessible, but am I approachable?
Mm-hmm.
You want people to wanna come to you, to run to you, to say, let's have this person in our meeting, because they always have something valuable to say, and they always bring good energy to the meeting. So anyway, that's my tip. Work on that, and we'll talk to you next week.
And until then, be influential.